Hello. Sorry. Oh, jeez. Of course, I chose then to get all flummy. Hi, good evening. Hello, everyone. I hope all of you are having a good day, good night. We are going to be doing something a bit different today. So normally, we are talking about a specific book in particular. I'm giving my recommendation, hitting some of the high points, and giving recommendations based off of that. Today we are. I'm going to be reading poetry. I have. Well, let's be honest. I've gone through a lot of my textbooks because I kept them, and picked out some poems that are mostly related to winter, and typically winter the season, not just like winter the vibe, not like the winter of life type things, but actual winter. And so we'll be reading those. A lot of them are either English or American poets. There may be a few others, but primarily that's who they are. All but two of these are actual in physical form, so if you hear rustling and shuffling and stuff, that's me trying to get to the correct book. Two of them I can't find the book that has them in it, so I have those pulled up online for when I get to those. Oh, hang on, I seem to be out of sync with myself. Let's see if this will fix that problem. There we go, that looks better. So I should have those ready to go. I'm not putting the text up, but I am providing both the name of the poem and the name of the poet, so you will be easily able to find them if you go looking for them yourself. And I've tried to pick a variety of long and short. I will admit, I know the one I'm starting with is pretty long. And I also know that I have one tagged at the end, ready to go. It is exceedingly long because, bless his poor little calcified poet's heart, the man had a lot of words. So if we get to that one, if I don't think it will be too onerous on me or on you who are listening, we will do that one. If I think that's excessive, we won't. So yeah, that's what this is. I will say, I think. Oh gosh, I think copyright for the United States is through like 1950 at this point. If the person passed away in 1950, so these are all from before that, and there are some there are some poets that I wish were in here. There are poets that I really like. Shel Silverstein is one that I love. I really like Seamus Heaney. There is I should have looked her up before. There's a poet who does like these nature poems about the sky that are just amazing and wonderful. Love her work. I know she has some about winter, but she's still alive, and the other people are still under copyright. I mean, hers are too because she's still alive. So I won't be doing any of theirs. That doesn't mean I don't really like their poetry. It just means I can't do it here. But yeah, so without further ado, you're gonna hear some like rustling and shuffling from me. Hopefully not too much. Hopefully it's not too loud. Let me get this pulled up. And this pulled up. I don't own any of these works. I know this slide is a bit redundant because everything is out of copyright, but I don't own any of these works. This should be a lot of fun and a lot of entertainment. For those of you who don't like poetry, that's perfectly valid and fine. You don't have to. If you want to give this a miss, that's also fine. I enjoy poetry. I enjoy poetry more when I don't have to analyze it, and that's exactly what this is. This is, you're not being tested on it, you don't have to analyze it, you don't need to break it down. All it is just poetry for the enjoyment of poetry. I do have coffee with me, so I will be making sure to drink more of that than usual, because when I am reading aloud, I need that. I need something. Hopefully I won't accidentally try to breathe the coffee. But I need something warm, and that is warm. So that didn't work. What have you done? There we go. So these are winter poems. They are from a wide swath of people from many different eras. But yeah, they are all winter poems. I'm probably not going to give a mini bio or anything like that, because there are too many different poets. I don't have a lot of duplicates in this list. There's a couple, but not a ton. So it will most likely just be, hey, here's this person, here's this poem, and I will read the poem. So yeah, I hope you enjoy. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I enjoy sharing things I like. And I'm going to start with one that I very much do. So this is Frost at Midnight by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And I have to find that. Oh, I flagged everything. I have color-coded flags in so many books right now. Alright, so Frost at Midnight. The frost performs its secret ministry, unhelped by any wind. The owlet's cry came loud, and hark again, loud as before, the inmates of my cottage, all at rest, have left me to that solitude which suits abstruser musings, save that at my side my cradled infant slumbers peacefully. 'Tis calm indeed, so calm that it disturbs and vexes meditation with its strange and extreme silentness. Sea, hill, and wood, this populous village, sea and hill and wood, with all the numberless goings-on of life, inaudible as dreams. The thin blue flame lies on my low-burnt fire and quivers not. Only that film which fluttered on the grate still flutters there, the sole unquiet thing. Methinks its motion in this hush of nature gives it dim sympathies with me who live, making it a companionable form, whose puny flaps and freaks the idling spirit by its own moods interprets, everywhere echo or mirror seeking of itself, and makes a toy of thought. But oh, how oft at school, with most believing mind, presageful have I gazed upon the bards, to watch that fluttering stranger, and oft with unclosed lids already had I dreamt of my sweet birthplace and the old church tower, whose bells, the poor man's only music, rang from morn to evening, all the hot fair day, so sweetly that they stirred and haunted me with a wild pleasure, falling on mine ear most like articulate sounds of things to come. So gazed I, till the soothing things I dreamt lulled me to sleep, and sleep prolonged my dreams, and so I brooded all the following morn, awed by the stern preceptor's face, mine eye fixed with mock study on my swimming book, save if the door half opened, and I snatched a hasty glance, and still my heart leaped up, for still I hoped to see the stranger's face, townsman or aunt or sister more beloved, my playmate when we were both clothed alike. Dear babe that sleepest cradled by my side, whose gentle breathings heard in this deep calm filled up interspersed vacancies and momentary pauses of the thought, my babe so beautiful, it thrills my heart with tender gladness thus to look at thee, and think that thou shalt learn far other lore and in far other scenes. For I was reared in the great city, pent mid cloisters dim, and saw not lovely but the sky and stars. But thou, my babe, shalt wander like a breeze, by lakes and sandy shores, beneath the crags of ancient mountain, and beneath the clouds which image in their bulk both lakes and shores and mountain crags. So shalt thou see and hear the lovely shapes and sounds intelligible of that eternal language which thy God utters, who from eternity doth teach himself in all, and all things in himself. Great universal teacher, he should mold thy spirit, and by giving make it ask. Therefore all seasons shall be sweet to thee, whether summer clothe the general earth with greenness, or the redbreast sit and sing betwixt the tufts of snow on the bare branch of mossy apple tree, while the nigh thatch smokes in the sun thaw, whether the eavesdrops fall, heard only in the traces of the blast, or if the secret ministry of frost shall hang them up in silent icicles, quietly shining to the quiet moon. Is the volume for everything okay? I know I'm going to be turned and angled a bit weird because these are all physical books, and in order to not knock the mic, I am kind of seated a little sideways. But the volume for everything is okay? Okay. That's good. Let me double check something right quick. Okay. All right. So all of that should be good. And that is how we're starting, and that's kind of how we're going. So, A Charm by Rudyard Kipling. If I can get to it, there it is. Take of English earth as much as either hand may rightly clutch. In the taking of it breathe prayer for all who lie beneath. Not the great nor well bespoke, but the mere uncounted folk, of whose life and death is none report or lamentation. Lay that earth upon thy heart, and thy sickness shall depart. It shall sweeten and make whole fevered breath and festered soul. It shall mightily restrain over bruised hand and brain. It shall ease thy mortal strife 'gainst the immortal woe of life, till thyself restored shall prove by what grace the heavens do move. Take of English flowers these, spring's full-faced primroses, summer's wild, wide-hearted rose, autumn's wallflower of the close, and thy darkness to illume winter's bee-thronged ivy bloom. Seek and serve them where they bide, from Candlemas to Christmas-tide. And for these simples used aright, can restore a failing sight. These shall cleanse and purify webbed and inward turning eye. These shall show thee treasures hid, thy familiar fields amid, and reveal which is thy need, every man a king indeed. So some of these will be longer than others. I am trying not to do a bunch of long ones back to back. So yes, if some of these seem much shorter than others, that's because they are. Like I said, I know not everything is for everyone, so I've tried to mix some very long ones with some shorter ones. None of them are extremely short, but not everyone is Coleridge. Winter Memories by Henry David Thoreau. Within the circuit of this plodding life, there enter moments of azure hue, untarnished fair as is the violet, or anemone when the spring strews them, by some meandering rivulet which makes the best philosophy untrue, that aims but to console man for his grievances. I have remembered when the winter came, high in my chamber in the frosty nights, when in the still light of the cheerful moon, on every twig and rail and jutting spout, the icy spears were adding to their length against the arrows of the coming sun, how in the shimmering noon of summer past some unrecorded beam slanted across the upland pastures where the johnswort grew, or heard amid the verdure of my mind the bees' long smothered hum on the blue flag loitering amidst the mead, or buzzy rill which now through all its course stands still and dumb, its own memorial, purling at its play, along the slopes and through the meadows next, until its youthful sound was hushed at last in the staid current of the lowland stream. Or seen the furrows shine but late upturned, and where the field fair fallowed in the rear, when all the fields around lay bare and hoar beneath a thick intingement of snow, so by God's cheap economy made rich, to go upon my winter's task again. Sonnet 73 by William Shakespeare. That time of year thou mayest in me behold, when yellow leaves, or none, or few, do hang upon these boughs which shake against the cold, bare ruined choirs, where late the sweet birds sang. In me thou seest the twilight of such day, as after sunset fadeth in the west, which by and by black night doth take away, death's second self that seals up all in rest. In me thou seest the glowing of such fire, that on the ashes of his youth doth lie, as the deathbed whereon it must expire, consumed with that which it was nourished by. This thou perceivest, which makes thy love more strong, to love that well which thou must leave ere long. This one is another long one. Ode to the West Wind by Percy Shelley. O wild west wind, thou breath of autumn's being, thou from whose unseen presence the leaves dead are driven, like ghost from an enchanter fleeing, yellow and black and pale and hectic red, pestilence-stricken multitudes, O thou who chariotest to their dark wintry bed the winged seeds where they lie cold and low, each like a corpse within its grave, until thine azure sister of the spring shall blow her clarion o'er the dreaming earth and fill driving sweet buds like flocks to feed in air with living hues and odors plain and hill. Wild spirit which art moving everywhere, destroyer and preserver, hear, O hear. Thou on whose stream, mid the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shed, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean, angels of rain and lightning there are spread. On the blue surface of thine airy surge, like the bright hair uplifted from the head of some fierce Maenad, even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height, the locks of the approaching storm. Thou dirge of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dome of a vast sepulchre, vaulted with all thy congregated might of vapors from whom solid atmosphere, black rain and fire and hail will burst, O hear. Thou who didst waken me from his summer dreams, the blue Mediterranean where he lay, lulled by the coil of his crystalline streams, beside a pumice isle in Bai's Bay, and saw in sleep old palaces and towers, quivering within the waves' intenser day, all overgrown with azure moss and flowers so sweet, the sense faints picturing them. Thou, for whose path the Atlantic's level powers cleave themselves into chasms, while far below the sea blooms in the oozy winds which wear the sapless foliage of the ocean, know thy voice and suddenly grow gray with fear, and tremble and despoil themselves. O hear. If I were a dead leaf, thou mightest bear. If I were a swift cloud to fly with thee, a wave to pant beneath thy power and share the impulse of thy strength, only less free than thou, O uncontrollable. If even I were as in my boyhood, and could be the comrade of thy wanderings over heaven, as then when to outstrip thy skyey speed scarce seemed a vision, I would ne'er have striven as thus with thee in prayer in my sore need. O lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud, I fall upon the thorns of life, I bleed. A heavy weight of hours has chained and bowed one too like thee, tameless and swift and proud. Make me thy lyre, even as the forest is. What if my leaves are falling like its own? The tumult of thy mighty harmonies will take from both a deep autumnal tone. Sweet though in sadness, be thou spirit fierce, my spirit, be thou me impetuous one. Drive my dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves to quicken a new birth, and by the incantation of this verse, scatter, as from an unextinguished hearth, ashes and sparks, my words amongst mankind. Be through my lips to unawakened earth the trumpet of a prophecy. O wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? I will say I am a huge fan of Shelley. I love his poetry. He likes to talk a lot, but I really I like his verse. I like the way he says it. I really enjoy him. So if you haven't checked out Percy Shelley ever, just for yourself, his things are some of the sweetest, most complicated, and kind of most real things I've ever read. They very much have that feeling of being modern, despite the fact that they are not. So this is in the same book. It is in the same book. Alright, so this is Tears, Idle Tears by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Tears, idle tears, I know not what they mean. Tears from the depth of some divine despair rise in the heart and gather to the eyes in looking on the happy autumn fields and thinking of days that are no more. Fresh as the first beam glittering on a sail that brings our friends up from the underworld, sad as the last which reddens over one that sinks with all we love below the verge, so sad, so fresh, the days that are no more. Ah, sad and strange as in dark summer dawns, the earliest pipe of half-awakened birds to dying ears, when unto dying eyes the casement slowly grows a glimmering square, so sad, so strange, the days that are no more. Dear as remembered kisses after death, and sweet as those by hopeless fancy feigned, on lips that are for others deep as love, deep as first love, and wild with all regret. O death in life, thy days that are no more. Stopping by the Woods on a Snowy Evening by Robert Frost. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though he will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. That's in this book. So, composed upon Westminster Bridge, September 3rd, 1802. William Wordsworth. Earth has not anything to show more fair. Dull would he be of soul who could pass by a sight so touching in its majesty. This city now doth like a garment wear the beauty of the morning, silent, bare. Ships, towers, domes, theaters, and temples lie open unto the fields and to the sky, all bright and glittering in the smokeless air. Never did sun more beautifully steep in his first splendor valley, rock, or hill. Ne'er saw I, never felt a calm so deep. The river glideth at his own sweet will. Dear God, the very houses seem asleep, and all that mighty heart is lying still. In Drear-Nighted December by John Keats. In drear-nighted December, too happy, happy tree, thy branches ne'er remember their green felicity. The north cannot undo them, with sleety whistle through them, nor frozen thawings glue them from budding at their prime. In drear-nighted December, too happy, happy brook, thy bubblings ne'er remember Apollo's summer look, but with a sweet forgetting, they stay their crystal fretting, never, never petting about the frozen time. Ah, would 'twere so with many, a gentle girl and boy, but were there ever any, writhed not of passed joy, the feel of not to feel it, when there is none to heal it, nor numbed sense to steal it, was never said in rhyme. From Signs of Winter by John Clare. The cat runs races with her tail, the dog leaps o'er the orchard hedge and gnarls the grass. The swine run round and grunt and play with straw, snatching out hasty mouthfuls from the stack. Sudden upon the elm tree tops, the crow's unceremonious visit pays, and croaks, then swoops away. From mossy barn the owl bobs hasty out, wheels round, and scared as soon as hastily retires. The ducks grow wild, and from the muddy pond fly up, and wheel a circle round the village, and, soon tired, plunge into the pond again. The maids in haste snatch from the orchard hedge the mizzled clothes, and laughing hurry in to keep them dry. The Winter Shore by Thomas Wade. A mighty change it is, and ominous of mightier, sleeping in eternity. The bare cliffs seem half sinking in the sand, heaved high by winter seas, and their white crowns, struck by the whirlwinds, shed their hair like snow upon the desolate air, sullen and black, their huge backs rearing far along the waves. The rocks lie barrenly, which where there have lain revealed or hidden from immemorial time, and o'er them hangs a seaweed drapery like some old Triton's hair, beneath which lurk myriads of crowned shellfish, things whose life, like a celled hermit's, seemeth profitless, vast slimy masses hardened into stone, rise smoothly from the surface of the deep, each with 100,000 fairy cells perforate, like honeycomb and cup-like, filled with the sea's salt crystal, the soft beds, once of so many pebbles, thence divorced by continual waters, as they grew slowly to rock. The bleak shore is o'erspread with seaweeds green and sere, curled and disheveled, as they were mermaids' tresses, wildly torn for some sea sorrow. The small mountain stream, swollen to a river, laves the quivering beach, and flows in many channels to the sea, between high, shingly banks that shake forever. The solitary seabird, like a spirit, balanced in the air upon his crescent wings, hangs floating in the winds, as he were lord of the drear vastness around him, and alone natured for such dominion. Spring and summer and stored autumn, of their liveries here is no vestige. Winter, tempest-robed, in gloomy grandeur o'er hills and seas, reigneth omnipotent. So, I have to figure out which book this one's in. So sometimes I really like the sublime poetry, the ones where nature is not kind, but it is in fact wonderful and awe-inspiring. And yes, this is the correct book. So things like that are a personal favorite of mine. I like the ones that are not pretty and peaceful necessarily, but are the beauty of the wild and the fierce and the lightning. This is a nocturnal upon St. Lucy's Day, being the shortest day, by John Donne. 'Tis the year's midnight, and it is the day's Lucy's, who scarce 7 hours of herself unmasks. The sun is spent, and now his flasks send forth light squibs, no constant rays. The world's whole sap is sunk, the general balm the hydroptic earth hath drunk. Whither as to the bed's feet life is shrunk, dead and interred. Yet all these seem to laugh compared with me who am their epitaph. Study me then, you who shall lovers be, at the next world, that is, at the next spring, for I am every dead thing, in whom love wrought new alchemy, for his art did express from a quintessence, even from nothingness, from dull privations and lean emptiness. He ruined me, and I am re-begot of absence, darkness, death, things which we are not. All others from all thing draw all that's good, life, soul, form, spirit, whence they being have. I, by love's limbeck, am the grave. Of all that's nothing, oft a flood we two have wept, and so drowned the whole world, us two. Oft did we grow to be two chaoses, when we did show care to aught else, and aught absences withdrew our souls, and made us carcasses. But I am by her death, which word wrongs her, of the first nothing the elixir grown. Were I a man, that I were one I needs must know, I should prefer, if I were any beast, some ends, some means, yea plants, yea stones detest and love, all some proprieties invest, if I an ordinary nothing were, as shadow, a light and body must be here. But I am none, nor will my son renew you lovers, for whose sake the lesser son at this time to the goat is run to fetch new lust and give it you. Enjoy your summer all, since she enjoys her long night's festival. Let me prepare towards her, and let me call this hour her vigil and her eve, since this both the years and the days deep midnight is. In Tenebris 1 by Thomas Hardy. Wintertime nighes, but my bereavement pain it cannot bring again. Twice no one dies. Flower petals flee, but since it once hath been, no more can that severing scene can harrow me. Birds faint in dread. I shall not lose old strength in the lone frost's black length, strength long since fled. Leaves freeze to dun, but friends cannot turn cold this season as of old, for him with none. Tempests may scathe, but love cannot make smart. Again this year his heart, who no heart hath. Black is night's cope, but death will not appeal. One whose past doubtings all waits in unhope. New Year's Eve by Thomas Hardy. I have finished another year, said God. In gray, green, white, and brown, I have strown the leaf upon the sod, sealed up the worm within the clod, and let the last sun down. And what's the good of it? I said. What reasons made you call? From formless void this earth we tread, when 99 can be read, why not should be at all? Yea, sire, why shaped you us, who in this tabernacle groan? If ever a joy be found herein, such joy no man had wished to win, if he had never known. Then he my labors logicless You may explain, not I, since sealed I have wrought without a guess, that I evolved a consciousness to ask for reasons why. Strange that ephemeral creatures who, by my own ordering are, should see the shortness of my view, use ethic tests I never knew or made provisions for. He sank to raptness and of yore, and opening New Year's Day, wove it by rote as theretofore, and went on working evermore in his unweeting way. Now, if you will excuse me for a second, I have to get these online. I don't know where my book has gone. I am very fond of both of these next ones. And I do think I will do my super long one at the end, and if you would like to bail out before that one, I completely understand. Let me get... All right. A Christmas Carol by Christina Georgina Rossetti. In the bleak midwinter, frosty wind made moan. Earth stood hard as iron, water like a stone. Snow had fallen, snow on snow, snow on snow, in the bleak midwinter long ago. Our God, heaven cannot hold him, nor earth sustain. Heaven and earth shall flee away when he comes to reign. In the bleak midwinter, a stable place sufficed, the Lord God Almighty, Jesus Christ. Enough for him whom cherubim worship night and day, a breastful of milk and a mangerful of hay. Enough for him whom angels fall down before, the ox and ass and camel which adore. Angels and archangels may have gathered there, cherubim and seraphim thronged the air, but only his mother in her maiden bliss worshipped her beloved with a kiss. What can I give him, poor as I am? If I were a shepherd, I would bring a lamb. If I were a wise man, I would do my part. Yet what can I give him? Give him my heart. And then Christmas Bells by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. So if you don't know, that previous one, A Christmas Carol and then Christmas Bells, are both traditional carols. The poems have been since put to music. So Christmas Bells is I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. But I am very fond of the original poem as well, so. Christmas Bells by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I heard the bells on Christmas Day their old familiar carols play, and wild and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men, and thought how, as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom had rolled along the unbroken song of peace on earth, goodwill to men, till ringing, singing on its way, The world revolved from night to day, a voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then from each black, accursed mouth, the cannon thundered in the south, and with the sound the carols drowned of peace on earth, goodwill to men. It was as if an earthquake rent the hearthstones of a continent and made forlorn the households born of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. It's always interesting to see when songs are made out of poems, what gets left in and what gets left out. And both of those are slightly different from their carols. All right, darlings, buckle up. This is Mont Blanc by Percy Shelley. This is in my romantic lit book. This is a long one. It is long, it is convoluted. I apologize for any stumbles I make along this road and mountain. I do promise that this is the last one. It is the longest poem of tonight, with Frost at Midnight coming in just behind it, the one we started with. Yeah, this one has several stanzas. 4? This one has 4 stanzas. So, abandon hope, all ye who enter here. This is Mont Blanc by Percy Shelley. The everlasting universe of things flows through the mind and rolls its rapid waves, now dark, now glittering, now reflecting gloom, now lending splendor. From where secret springs, the source of human thought, its tribute brings of waters, with a sound but half its own, such as a feeble brook will oft assume in the wild woods, among the mountains lone, where waterfalls around it leap forever, where woods and winds contend, and a vast river over its rocks ceaselessly bursts and raves. Thus thou, ravine of Arve, dark, deep ravine, thou many-colored, many-voiced vale, over whose pines and crags and caverns sail fast cloud shadows and sunbeams. Awful scene, where power in likeness of the Arve comes down from the ice gulfs that gird his secret throne, bursting through these dark mountains like flame of lightning through the tempest. Thou dost lie, thy giant brood of pines around thee clinging, children of elder time, in whose devotion the chainless winds still come and ever came to drink their odors, their mighty swinging to hear an old and solemn harmony. Thine earthly rainbows stretched across the sweep of the ethereal waterfall, whose veil robes some unsculptured image, the strange sleep which, when the voices of the desert fail, wraps all in its own deep eternity. Thy caverns echoing to the Arve's commotion, a loud, lone sound no other sound can tame. Thou art pervaded with that ceaseless motion. Thou art the path of that unresting sound, dizzy ravine. And when I gaze on thee, I seem as in a trance sublime and strange, to muse on my own separate fantasy, my human mind, which passively now renders and receives fast influencings, holding an unremitting interchange with the clear universe of things around. One legion of wild thoughts, whose wandering wings now float above thy darkness, and now rest where that or thou art no unbidden guest, in the cave of which Poesy, seeking among the shadows that pass by, ghosts of all things that are some shade of thee, some phantom, some faint image, till the breast from which they fled recalls them, thou art there. Some say that gleams of a remoter world visit the soul in sleep, that death is slumber, and that it shapes the busy thoughts outnumber of those who wake and live. I look on high. Has some unknown omnipotence unfurled the veil of life and death? Or do I lie in dream, and does the mightier world of sleep spread far around and inaccessibly its circles? For the very spirit fails, driven like a homeless cloud from steep to steep that vanishes among viewless gales. Far, far above, piercing the infinite sky, Mont Blanc appears, still snowy and serene. Its subject mountains, their unearthly forms, pile around it ice and rock, broad veils between of frozen floods, unfathomable deeps, blue as the overhanging heaven that spread and wind among accumulated steeps, a desert peopled by storms alone, save when the eagle brings some hunter's bone, and the wolf tracks her there, and how hideously its shapes are heaped around, rude and bare and high, ghastly and scarred and riven. Is this the scene where the old earthquake demon taught her young ruin? Were these her toys, or did a sea of fire envelop this silent snow? None can reply. All seems eternal now. The wilderness has a mysterious tongue which teaches awful doubt or faith, so mild, so solemn, so serene, that man may be, but for such faith, with nature reconciled. Thou hast a voice, great mountain, to repeal large codes of fraud and woe, not understood by all, but which the wise and great and good, interpret or make felt or deeply feel. The fields, the lakes, the forest and the streams, ocean and all living things that dwell within the daedal earth, lightning and rain, earthquake and fiery flood and hurricane, the torpor of year when feeble dreams visit the hidden buds, or dreamless sleep holds every future leaf and flower, the bound with which from that detested trance they leap, the works and ways of man, their death and birth, and that of him and all that his may be, all things that move and breathe with toil and sound, are born and die, revolve, subside, and swell. Power dwells apart in its tranquility, remote, serene, and inaccessible, and this, the naked countenance of earth on which I gaze. Even these primeval mountains teaching the averting mind, the glaciers creep like snakes that watch their prey, from their far mountains slow rolling on. There many a precipice, frost and the sun in scorn of mortal power have piled, dome, pyramid, and pinnacle, a city of death, distinct with many a tower and wall of impregnable, of beaming ice, yet not a city, but a flood of ruin is there, that from the boundaries of the sky rolls its perpetual stream. Vast pines are strewing its destined path, or in the mangled soil, branchless and shattered, stand. The rocks drawn down from yon remotest waste have overthrown the limits of the dead and living world, never to be reclaimed. The dwelling place of insects, beasts, and birds become its spoil, their food and their retreat forever gone. So much life and joy is lost. The race of man flies far in dread. His work and dwelling vanish, like smoke before the tempest stream, and their place is not known. Below, vast caves shine in the rushing torrent's restless gleam, from which these secret chasms in tumult welling meet in the vale, and in one majestic river the breath and blood of distant lands forever rolls its loud waters to the ocean waves, breathe its swift vapors to the circling air. Mont Blanc yet gleams on high. The power is there, till the still and solemn power of many sights, many sounds, and much of life and death. In the calm darkness of the moonless nights, in the lone glare of day, the snows descend upon that mountain. None beholds them there, nor when flakes burn in the sinking sun, or the starbeams dart through them. Winds contend silently there, and heap the snow with breath rapid and strong, but silently. Its home, the voiceless lightning in these solitudes keeps innocently, and like a vapor broods over the snow, the secret strength of things which govern thought, and to the infinite dome of heaven is as a law inhabits thee. And what were thou, and earth, and stars, and sea, if to the human mind's imaginings silence and solitude were vacancy? So, that's it. This is something I've really wanted to do. I really enjoy poetry. I enjoy sharing it with people. I know that not everyone is a fan, and that's fine. You don't have to be. I know that that's a thing. But I've really wanted to do this and share some of my favorites with you, and share some that are a little different, or you may not have heard, or you may have slept through before, or you may have had to analyze To the Moon and Back, and therefore grown to dislike. But yeah, that's the winter poetry. I have a few others I could probably dig out, but I start getting into the problem of I have to start checking death dates and public domain. I highly recommend Coleridge and Shelley, both. Huge fan. I am a huge fan of Keats. But yeah, those are some cold and chilly poems. Some of them about cold places like Mont Blanc. Some of them about actual winter and the time of year. Some of them about just cold September, but that's close enough. So I hope all of you have a good night and a good rest of the week. I will go back to doing a book as per usual. I just wanted to do this as something special. If you're in the US, I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. If you're elsewhere, I hope you have a good week. So yeah, have a good night, everyone.